Hello and namaste, everyone, to the Golden Child Podcast, the podcast to help you to reconnect with your inner child, to live the life you truly desire. And here's our awesome intro.
Round 5.
Welcome back, guys. Today we have Natia from Georgia. Welcome back to the podcast. And why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers, of course, who is following us from YouTube?
Hi guys, my name is Natia. I am from Georgia, the country. I feel I always need to add this to my introduction. I'm a mother of two small children, and I'm in a happy long-term relationship, married to my husband. What is unique about our family is that we are very multicultural. We speak four different languages at home. So Georgian, German, English, and Dutch. This is really unique for us. And also, it's very normal for our family to travel a lot, even before our kids. Me and my husband, we traveled a lot. I traveled professionally to 20 different countries in the world and personally to 20 more, lived in 5 different countries. This multiculturalism is very close to me and to us, to our family, which is very important in today's world. So what else? I have a long corporate career, mainly in finance industry, in a leadership positions as an HR leader. And since a couple of months now, I am an independent full-time coach, and I'm coaching first-time managers to become leaders.
I really, really like your story. But I think that first we should tell our listeners and watchers how we met. I think it's a very nice story.
Yeah, we met through a colleague, ex-colleague of ours, through a really nice introduction, and we were working with the same person. I was coaching that person, and you were supporting her with the language, and we had an amazing connection immediately, and we supported each other while working with that wonderful human being and empowering her from our own unique directions. It was great.
I think it's worth mentioning that there was someone from Italy that was teaching English to a Mongolian woman with the support of a Georgian woman based in Germany back in the days, helping a Mongolian found based in Ulaanbaatar. I think that's a nice story.
Yeah, yeah. Talking about multiculturalism, right?
I really, really enjoyed the experience and was truly, really empowered me as a teacher because I've never taught English back in the days when I was still teaching to Mongolians. It was a shock because I was not used to the accent and, the culture and stuff. And it was nice. It was a very rewarding experience, and I'm glad that we still kept in touch after, our work. But
Yeah, for sure.
right now, let me ask you. So, I mean, you have been working a corporate job, HR, in the financial sector of the company for years, and in I don't know, a couple of months, you completely revolutionized uh your life. I mean, from 9 to 5, independent contractor, entrepreneur, your business, which is, by the way, persona coaching. What pushed you to make the big jump?
Yeah, thanks for this question. Um, from what I remember as a child, I was always dreaming about being my own boss. Even though in my professional career, I had worked with a lot of wonderful people as my colleagues, as my bosses, as employees or stakeholders. The more time passed and more I gathered experience and knowledge and understanding of myself, this inner desire from my side to understand my own mission and the work that I do to create a difference in people's lives was getting stronger and stronger. And one thing that I know for sure now is that when you really want something, when you really, really, really want something, it seems that the universe is lining up opportunities for you. And this is what happened for me when there was an opportunity for me to get out of the corporate world and start my own journey as an independent entrepreneur, mompreneur, I must say, because combining entrepreneurship and motherhood is a different concept
Completely.
already.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's also another label for me. It's called the yogipreneur. You're a
Aha.
motherpreneur. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Mompreneur.
empowering.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's connect right now. So I'm gonna ask you a very deep question and a dumb question. First, do you
Mhm.
miss your 9 to 5 job? And the second one is, tell us behind the story about persona coaching. What does it represent? Mission and vision. And also, I'm really, really interested that you're now branching towards Georgia.
Mhm. Yes. Um, well, behind persona coaching is a very special mission. Persona coaching is driven by a special mission to support first-time managers. Um, to be a first-time manager is a very special and challenging time in the life of any manager. And when I first was starting my business as a coach, I was really struggling with my niche. You know, I was thinking I knew already I was a good coach, but I something was missing. I wanted to know what's the purpose of me coaching? What should I coach people on? And then I sat down to myself and listed all the things I was good at, and brainstormed a lot with people around in my life. And I also thought of experience my own life experiences. When was the time when I was struggling the most? And what are the challenges that I have as a person overcome? And there was it. First time managers, because I became a manager myself in my early 20s and
Wow.
without yeah, without any coaches or mentors, I had made a lot of costly mistakes, and it ultimately took me many years to actually transition to true leadership. And now my mission is to share what I know as a manager and empower first time managers. They don't have to make the same mistakes, they don't have to suffer the way I did. There is another way now. Um, it's a different world nowadays. So here it
Completely.
is, me sharing what I know, what I have overcome, the lessons I have learned to like minded people who want to boost their life, their leadership life, and find fulfillment and joy in what they do as managers.
I really like uh the story, the mission, the vision behind persona coaching. Let me ask you, why persona? Why did you decide persona nearby coaching? Is there a reason? I think I have like a theory, but I'm gonna keep it to myself. You tell me why.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we create our own world. We, as a person, we are center of our own world. And these first-time managers or people in the leadership role are also within companies. They're also kind of in the middle of two different dimensions. On one hand, as a manager, you need to manage people, your subordinated teams, and the stakeholders and your clients. And on the other hand, you need to manage your bosses. and and this corporate pressure from the top.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, what makes managers really successful is tune into themselves and to
Hmm.
really understand, who am I? What is important for me? What are my values? What type of person am I? Because leadership, even though it's quite universal, leadership topics are quite universal. On one hand, you have so many gurus, so many teachers and experts teaching you about how you need to be a good leader. But on the other hand, every person is unique,
Yeah.
and nobody can like tell you basically what you should do.
Yeah.
Instead, we need to find what is true for us, what's within us, and manage and lead from that perspective.
What I see behind the persona coaching is that you're developing people and not skills, which is so important. Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the coaching industry, you see a lot of people developing habits, which on the
Mm.
short term, you're gonna get, I would say, good results. Absolutely. It's a shorter way to, I would say, achieve success. The problem
Mm-hmm.
with that is that first you risk to become someone you're not. Okay. Doing habits uh without mindfulness, I would say not in a mindful way, you risk to become someone you're not. Okay. And everyone is different, as we said before. And we should develop personas. We should develop people, values, principles, and not skills. Skills will come after a strong foundation, after strong principle, after strong roots. You can develop
Mm-hmm.
principles. So, sorry, skills.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So what is within us, and to understand who we are as as people, is at the core of persona coaching, and specifically when it comes to empowering first-time managers.
So first time management is your niche, okay? Which,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, is nothing that you, few years ago, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So our
Exactly.
niche is basically our older self. Okay, once we
Mm-hmm.
figure out, or we reconnect who we were, we help our older version of ourselves. We gave him or her our hand. We grab this person, and rather than doing XX, you do X epsilon in order to avoid all the struggle, the hustles that we did back in the days.
Mm-hmm.
And so your old you or the ideal client for persona coaching, what is lacking? I would say not lacking, or yet to find out about him or herself.
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to make one statement. So as a coach, I make one important assumption when I talk to any client. And this assumption is, people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. They're not broken, they do not need fixing. They are beautiful, creative, and resourceful human beings the way they are.
I agree.
I talk with every single client from this perspective. Rather than actually teaching and advising, I listen and empower them from this perspective. Having said that, a lot of first time managers struggle on their initial months of leadership, even some of them, even first few years of this important position. And some of the struggles are basically saying no to people, and not only to their to their teams and all, but also to their supervisors. And saying no is such a crucial skill nowadays. It is important to also understand boundaries and manage boundaries and create healthy, clear expectations. Steve Chandler He's my mentor, a person who I greatly value and follow. And I'm one of his students. Steve is coaching and mentoring very successful leaders and coaches for prosperous life. So Steve beautifully talks about the difference between expectations and agreements. So he has this a beautiful saying, expectation versus agreements. And what does it mean? When we feel there are expectations for us as managers, we feel miserable because there is no way you will meet expectations. Then you are automatically breaking another set of expectations. You know, when you're meeting one set, you're breaking the other one. And Steve tells us basically, or advises us basically, it's always better to set clear agreements instead of expectations, set clear boundaries. And this is one of the big topics that my clients come with on the coaching. So we talk a lot about explore values, understand who am I from within, what is important for me, why I do all this, and then I lead from my heart, from my inner self, from who am I, and in a very authentic way, instead of following and saying yes to everything and following the boss's instructions and so on. So yeah.
Setting clear boundaries is so hard, not just in the workplace, but also in, I would say, nowadays relationship, because we always want to please someone. We risk to lose
Mhm.
who we are and what you really want. And a very good friend of mine told me there is a uh, she also said they will say two concepts. One was I'll say finding common ground, and the other
Mhm.
one was I think like giving surrender, giving up. You give everything, okay, because you are
Mhm.
afraid to lose this person. But I would say that common ground is important. Common ground will be like we find ourselves halfway, like 50-50%. If you're giving away, you basically give everything to the other part. Like, I don't know, 100% that you get nothing in return, which could happen. It's okay. It's part of giving. If you're doing that consciously, it's fine. Okay. You go there, you say
Mhm.
consciously, I do that. I don't care whether something good or bad will happen. It's okay. But if you have
Mhm.
expectations, as you say, it creates resistance. That's why I think agreement, like in a contract between two people, it's so important. And if in order to do
Yeah.
that, we need to develop our inner voice, and that's connected to spirituality, the throat chakra, which I think we as coaches and teachers, mentors, is probably one of the chakras that we develop the most.
Yeah. So true.
And let me ask you this. What does authenticity mean to you? What is authentic, and how can we apply this concept to leadership? And also, I would like to underline how difficult and hard it is to find authenticity and genuinity in nowadays world. So let's connect your experience, the question, and maybe the world of social media, as we discussed before.
Yeah. Well, authenticity is just going out there in the world and be who you are. You know, the other day I was thinking about this. I attended Elton John's concert in Berlin, and all the time it was an amazing experience with Elton John. It was a farewell concert, basically. It's the last tour he's making around the world. And I was listening to his songs and thinking all the time about what made Elton John Elton John. There was there surely there are many people out there in this world who are also great songwriters, who have a great voice, who are great performers, but there's only one Elton John. How do we explain this? And at the end, I kind of assumed or concluded for myself that what made Elton John was that he was authentic.
Yeah.
He put himself out there the way he is. There are no masks, no pretending, no desire to look and be like what's accepted as normal, or what are the expectations of the people. You're just putting yourself out there as you are. You're honoring your true self. This is authenticity for me. And
I
of
agree.
course, part of the success is to know when to ask for help.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean that we need to do everything ourselves.
No.
And by the way, this is one of the biggest challenge of first-time managers as well, that they feel I'm a now manager. I am responsible to deliver everything. I should know it all. And then they go ahead and do everything themselves to make sure they have a best results, and they end up overburning themselves and hating their jobs and themselves. They break their families. And so many bad things happen when we
Yeah.
abandon ourselves and our authentic selves. So yeah, to find people, to ask for help, reach out, network, um, and maybe hire experts who will do part of your job. This is really
Yeah.
important on early leadership roles. So what else you asked?
Let me see. Let me see. Authentic. Yeah, and the connection with social media,
Yeah,
authenticity, social media, be you,
yeah,
not someone
yeah,
else.
yeah. Well, we discussed earlier also that nowadays, with all these influencers, this access to the social media platforms, and especially younger generation, like we want, or they want to be, we all want to be liked. We want to be like each other and like what's accepted and what's normal. And there is so much pressure
Yeah.
on people nowadays, especially young people. And what makes us unique then is that actually, no, I'm not going to do what is accepted. I'm not going to follow the river. I'm
Yeah.
going to be captain of my own ship. What does it mean? What does it mean to be captain of your ship? It means you are not sitting on a passenger seat and have your life led by circumstances, led by events that happen in your life, but instead to sit on a driver's seat and to hold that driving wheel and say, I'm in charge of my life. I know what I'm doing, and I will do independent of what others think, or if I please or not please others. You know, in coaching, we have this concept of full self acceptance and a full self authority.
Hmm.
What does it mean? So, full self acceptance is actually accepting everything about yourself, accepting parts that you like about yourself and in what you're great at, as well as things that you do not really like, things that are maybe embarrassing for you about yourself.
Yeah.
That's full self acceptance. Like, I am accepting myself as I am. And full self authority, on the other hand, is to say, I'm in my driver's seat and I'm driving my car. And miracles happen when people move from the passenger seat to the drivers and really rock on their life and do things that resonate to them and bring out best in themselves as a really creative human beings. This is really amazing. I've witnessed many times on other people as well as on myself. So yes, and with social media, we discussed before that setting boundaries is not on like in the context of also leadership roles, like we're not setting boundaries not only with our peers and our supervisors and subordinates, but also with us. Start with us. Now we see so many people spend hours and hours in scrolling social medias and quote unquote wasting the time, which is so valuable. And the part of working with boundaries is to set these boundaries with yourself and having a discipline on what I do and why, and what I do, why, and for how long. This is really important. And I practice it myself all the time. And I also support my clients, first time managers, to work around these boundaries with themselves, not only in the work context.
Scrolling can have such a negative effect on your productivity and stuff. I would say that what's behind the scrolling? So what is
Mm.
scrolling means really? It's a way of escaping. It's a way of escaping on
Mhm.
something that we don't like. I remember back in the days I was scrolling a lot. Like when I was at university, I finished, hours, I would say useless class, and then I come up, I came home super, super tired, I spent, quite a few time on social media, then I got back to sleep. And I asked myself, what does it mean? I was escaping because I wasn't happy. I didn't like, the university world and stuff. And I found comfort and ease in this, I would say, non-real world. So I would say that rather
Yeah.
than stopping the problem, say you shouldn't do this, buy an app a blocker on this kind of stuff, which could be useful. I would say that you
Mhm.
should investigate and find out what is the deeper reason why you're scrolling. Because when you're happy, Natia, and you know who you are and you are in the driver's seat, you will never scroll because it's so good to be the captain of your own ship rather than just, gazing the horizon from someone else. And unfortunately, the vast majority of people don't want to be in the driver's seat. Some of them, they want
Yeah.
to stay in the back.
Yes, exactly. And the biggest shift you mentioned earlier, if I miss my 9 to 5 job, and I didn't answer this question yet. And some of the days I do miss. What I miss is the connection with people I worked with, the shared purpose, and this greatness of being together, this togetherness. This is what I miss, because a life of an entrepreneur and a coach is sometimes can get quite lonely. Even though I engage with a lot of people, I'm networking and have a small team as well to work together, but still, it's quite lonely, and this is what I miss. However, what is different now is I am 100% present in what I do. I'm very intentional. I only talk to people who I want to talk to. I only do things that I love to do. And there are no time in my professional hours, working hours, when I say, you know what, let me switch off my camera and scroll. And this happens quite a lot in corporate setting.
Yeah.
And I did sometimes, I admit also doing that myself, when you're stuck in a boring meeting and you just switch off
We
and you
were all
don't even
guilty
know
of
what
that.
you're doing anymore.
We were all
Yes, we
guilty.
are all guilty about that. And a great thing about my life now is that the I forgot about this. There is this kind of things don't exist in my life anymore.
No.
I'm very intentional. I'm very present on every single moment of my day, whether it's of course, with in a professional setting as well as when I'm with my family.
And also like living authentic, like, so we are still 10 minutes. I want to add this and then we can add to the final question, which is about the inner child and living out
Mhm.
an authentic life. So authenticity is for me being you. So There's a movie that I just started watching. I still haven't finished it. It's called Origins, and there's this guy that is taking pictures of people's eyes. Because everyone in
Mm,
this world have different eyes, completely different. And he
mm,
says everyone has a universe by looking at their eyes. I would say that
mm.
that represents who we are, where we're from, and rather than we cannot copy that. It's also our DNA. It's unique. If we take also
Yeah.
siblings, there are like completely the same. Their DNA is different. So everyone has a completely different DNA, and everyone has his or her own story and cannot be copied. And I would say if you want to differentiate yourself, be who you are. Don't copy someone you're not. For example, and acceptance. Acceptance is super important. For example, I started the episode that I did two mistakes while talking. I was like, gosh, no. Already at the beginning, I was like, God, that's bad. I said, let's start over. I said, screw it. Let's go with the flow because I'm not
Mm,
perfect. I'm learning. There are better people than me. Oh, yes. Can I get better? Oh, yes. Every time I'm doing an episode, I'm improving. Yes. So that's okay.
yeah,
That's
100%.
okay. Uh,
Yes.
my my ad was like, no, Rico, there's a mistake. You should have said that. I was like, "Bleh, you know what? Screw it. It's okay. And let's end this with if your inner child were standing right beside you this very moment, what empowering message or advice would you give to her?
Mm. Well, this is a wonderful question. Um,
My favorite,
I would,
actually.
yeah, I would hold my inner child very close to my heart and tell her that she can trust me and I will no longer disappoint her. There was a time in my life, of course, when I didn't feel this way. And I remember even once when on a session with my therapist at the time, I couldn't look in the eyes of my inner child because I felt embarrassed and disappointed.
Yeah,
That was kind of a wake up call for me then, and I realized that I need to change something in my life. And ever since, I'm in this journey of change. So this is important. And I almost feel like we need to also ask this question the other way around, and ask, what would my inner child tell me if she was right beside me? And I want to, yeah, I mean, I want to ask this question to also for our listeners to reflect on.
yeah,
What would your inner child tell you when you are on your first day of job as a new manager, for example? Or what would your inner child tell you when you're doing your first podcast episode? What is your inner child telling you when you're starting your own business? If
yeah,
we were able to listen to this subtle noise of our heart, of our true self, of our inner child, life will be really different. And of course, my inner child will tell me, you know what? Have fun, enjoy the journey, be fearless and playful and courageous. This is how children are being in this world. And so many people have actually lost the connection with who they are and their inner child. And that's why there's worried about things that are not actually important in life, and they miss the entire process of enjoying the journey, enjoying the play, enjoying the game. So yeah, this is what I would, or inner child, I would like to hear from my inner child.
beautiful. Touching, deep. I have never thought about reversing. And
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of a song that I've never heard before. So I met this person. She is a colleague of mine where I
Mm-hmm.
work, and she shared this wonderful song. I think we're from the Pink Floyd, "The Shining Diamond." It's a very long song back in the
Mm,
days,
yeah,
and they're talking. I think they're talking about the inner child, the shining diamonds, the inner child, the shining diamond. It's fearless, it's powerful, it's pure. He feels it wants to grow, explore, do stuff. And he doesn't, or she doesn't care about others' opinion. Is pure and is genuine, like a diamond. And I agree. Uh,
yeah,
we shouldn't like criticize, blame ourselves. Oh, it's not perfect, blah blah blah. I would say that making us imperfect makes us human, is making us who we are and not somebody else. And that's the whole purpose of this podcast. I'm interviewing true, genuine, and authentic people in a world which unfortunately is getting less and less genuine and authentic every day. But I'm
yeah,
really, really grateful that there are still amazing people that I can, interview in this podcast and share their inspiring stories with us. Natia,
yeah.
oh, we
Mhm.
still have 3 minutes. Let's, yeah,
All
please.
right.
Let's see what you have to say.
Well, I instantly remembered about my story that when I was listening to you, that like honoring your inner child and your true self is quite is very challenging sometimes, and when because it also comes down to the values. And I experienced it myself when I had to say no to the corporate world because I was already a mom. I was a mom of a baby, and I couldn't stick to these 8 or 10 or 12 hour workdays anymore. I had to accept this new reality and be very compassionate to myself. And I had a little bit of clash of my values as well that time. That when one hand there was this a value of achievement and growth and performance as an employee, and another hand my family and my children. So it's really hard to make these choices. Of course now it's I passed this period. Persona coaching is up and running and I'm coaching the clients, but honoring your true self and finding your own way in this world authentically is is not walk in the park. Definitely, it's not walk in the park, and probably the only way to find our own inner self and true potential of as human beings.
I couldn't agree more with what you said. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming to the Golden Show podcast, sharing insightful stories and really inspire our listeners to become authentic and genuine and live their life and not someone else. Thank you so much, Natia, for our also namaste to our listeners and viewers, and have a wonderful day. Peace. Thank you so much, Nadia.
Thank you, Enrico, a lot. Bye.